we go. Eduardo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well, Lilian.
Oh, fantastic. I'm sorry about that. It's been quite the busy day and I was a little off with my scheduling, so I apologize for
I can
that.
hear you well, Lilian. No, don't worry, Lilian. If you need to do this thing in a couple of hours, that it's 7 on your time, for me it's fine. Whatever you want.
Yeah, no. Now is good. This is perfect. So yeah, I had a little trouble with my internet on an earlier broadcast, but I'm very excited to have you on. So let me make sure the YouTube settings are set properly.
Lilian, if I send you some pictures on the WhatsApp, would it be possible that you have them so you can show them at some time during the conversation?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So let me, send them to me.
There are not so many. Just
If you have any before and after pictures.
I think they're going to be used. No, I don't have them numbered, but there are only 5 pictures. So if I tell you the one that I'm standing alone, that's the one. So it is 6 pictures. Let me send them to you.
Yeah, and then also on the edited version of this broadcast, I can also include it, I'll see if we can do a screen share so that we can show the audience.
At some point, I'm going to talk about the other medications that I had to take, and it was like 160 pills every week, so it's a lot. And a picture of how I looked when I was on the chemotherapy, some of the treatments that I had, some trip that I did to a Virgin Sanctuary, and my meditation with Joe Dispenza was that's the best picture, the best picture.
Okay, I see the pictures that you're sending on WhatsApp now. I'm trying to send them to my email as well so that they're working. Okay.
You know how to receive, how to use your the WhatsApp on your computer?
No, I only know how to use it on my phone. How do you do it on your computer? Ooh, really? That would be really awesome.
There's an application that is called WhatsApp Web, and then after you have the application, then if you go to the settings on your WhatsApp in the cell, it has something that says something like WhatsApp Web Desk. In my cells, it says WhatsApp Web. So what you're going to do when you do that, it's going to activate the camera. So it's going to scan the code in the computer, and when it scans it, then you can see your WhatsApp in your computer, and then you can work on your messages, download pictures and everything that you receive in your WhatsApp.
So what's the name of the app?
It's WhatsApp Web. You put WhatsApp Web in Google or Safari, whatever, and it's going to appear the application, and then you just click on it, and then it's going to show you like I don't know, a QR code.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And with your cellular phone, you go to settings, and you're going to have to find something that says something like WhatsApp Web for desk, and then you're going to have the camera activated. So you read the QR code, and then you have the WhatsApp in your computer, so you can work from there.
That's awesome. So let me ask you, so do you download that onto your computer or onto your cell phone?
No. You do that on your computer.
Okay, let me do that right now because maybe that would be very helpful for this.
Yeah, for you in the future, it's going to be fantastic. I'm going to send you the code so you can see what is It's WhatsApp web.
Yeah, that's great. I'm
Yeah.
downloading the pictures from WhatsApp to my
Yeah,
cell.
you have to write web.whatsapp.com, and then you're
Do
gonna
you want to send, do you want to send me the link here in the chat in Zoom?
yeah, I'll send it to you.
Send it here.
Okay, let me see, where's the chat?
Yeah, in fact, is it possible for you to put the pictures here in the chat?
Yeah, I can do that also.
Because that might be faster and easier. And off camera, then I can do the.
It's right
for
there.
next time.
And I'll put the pictures.
Yeah, so where it says file right here, you can just put the pictures here.
Okay, I'll put them. And while you see, there is the web direction, web.whatsapp.com. And
Yeah, I got that.
if you click on that, then you're gonna have the possibility to activate the WhatsApp in your computer.
That'll be fantastic. Yeah. So are you putting the pictures here in the chat?
I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm gonna put this.
Let me see.
It looks like it's fairly easy.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very easy.
Yeah.
You open your cell phone in WhatsApp, and then you go to settings, and then you have to read something like WhatsApp web or desk or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna open that, and you are gonna activate your camera. It's gonna read the QR code, and then you're gonna start using WhatsApp in your computer.
Menu settings. I don't see WhatsApp web under the settings though. I see.
You have to find it, because I don't know if you have an Android cellular.
I do. I have an Android.
You have to read something like, I think that in the upper side, in the right side, in the right upper side, there's 3 dots, and
I see.
you click
Yeah,
there,
I just
you're gonna find this WhatsApp web.
Go to your. That is hot. That's really cool.
I'm glad I could show you that trick.
Yes. Okay. So then I'm able to show the pictures here. Do you see that?
Yeah, you can now you're going to be able to see the picture that I already sent you.
Yeah. So this is great. Oh my goodness.
So since you haven't, do you think I still need to send it by the, you want me still to send them by the Zoom?
Yeah, go put them in the file in the Zoom too. Can't
Okay,
hurt.
let me do
And
that. Oh, boss. Okay. Do you like to see? Yeah, okay, I think I need to put one by one. It won't let me to put them together.
okay. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, this is very helpful.
Yes, it is. It is. And I don't know why there's a lot of people who don't know how to activate the WhatsApp in their computers, but it's a very, very helpful thing to do.
Okay. Right now, let's see.
Okay.
Okay, so we got that in the chat, which is great. And okay, so let's look at we'll go ahead and we'll get started. Let me make sure that on YouTube we're the YouTube.
si aparece. Sí, lo mandé. No es peligroso.
Okay, so we're live on YouTube as well. Okay, so we'll get started.
Okay.
Welcome to Love and Money Secrets TV. I'm your host, Dame Lillian Walker, and today we have Eduardo Osorio from Mexico. And Eduardo, you have an incredible story of how you were able to heal. Incredible. You mentioned in 2019, Eduardo entered the nutrition hospital in Mexico City and diagnosed lymph damage to in the area of the right side. Next to them, a tumor thrombosis of the suprahepatic vein. The doctors told him that he's not a candidate for a liver transplant or any other procedure that can give him expectation of a cure. All they offered him was to take chemotherapy as a palliative measure, and because of the severity of his illness, they gave him a life expectancy of less than 12 months. The only recommendation was to take chemotherapy indefinitely, not as a cure, but as a palliative measure to see if he could improve his life expectancy. Eduardo, thank you for being here on Love and Money Secrets TV. This is a horrible prognosis and diagnosis that they've given you here. So I can't imagine. This was just January of 2019. It's been just a year and a half ago that you were diagnosed with this. And here you are today, happy and healthy. So share with us, what did you first feel the moment that you heard those words come out of your doctor's mouth? What went through your mind?
Well, thank you very much, Lillian, for inviting me to be with you and with your audience. But I think that before I answer you that, I think I have to go a little bit back in time to 2014, because that was that was the first time that the doctors told me that I have an illness and I had a life expectancy of some years ahead of me. And that was because I had to go to the hospital because one day in 2014, in the month of July, I went to the bathroom, then I saw some drops of blood coming out. And I said to my wife that since I went to Google to see what happened, I said to my wife that I just needed to go to the doctor to get the to get for me a remedy for that. It was nothing serious. It was just an infection. And so when I went to the hospital, the doctors started to take blood tests on me. And then they came to me and said that I could just not leave. I had to be at the hospital, stay at the hospital, because they found that something that is called thrombocytopenia. And they told me with me having that illness, I could not be out because my life was in high risk, because I could have a blood. Let me see. I could have an internal blood. So because this illness has to do with the platelets. My level of platelets were very low, and this could put my life in danger. So they told me that I could not leave the hospital. They had to do more tests on me. And after a couple of days, they also found that I had hepatitis C. And since that, because of that, they also told me that they had to do more tests on me, because they had to check on my liver, because they said that the level of virus that I had of the hepatitis, it was so high that they had to check the liver, because it was almost very sure that it's going to be very damaged also. So what they found is that my liver had cirrhosis on stage 4. it was completely damaged my liver. And so the doctors told me that since I had no symptoms, I was asymptomatic, that it was a good news for me. So if I took care of myself, that I could have a life expectancy of 5 years. In 1914, they told me that if I take care of my health, I could live 5 more years. That was, if that diagnosis were correct, I had to be dead last year, just like the doctors told me from the cancer diagnosis the same year. So what I had to do, they told me that first they had to help me to find a treatment for the hepatitis C.
So wait a minute. So you said you had thrombocytopenia, you had hepatitis, you had low blood platelets, and you had what was the other thing?
The cirrhosis in the liver.
Cirrhosis of the liver as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you had multiple diagnoses and an infection as well.
Yeah, I was incredibly surprised for that because I've never been at the hospital before in my life. So when they told me that, I just couldn't believe that they were saying that to me. It was like surrealistic. So what I did was they told me that the first thing that we had to do, they had to check to help me to find a solution and a treatment for the hepatitis C. And after a couple of years, thank God I found something that a treatment that could help me to get rid of the hepatitis. But the doctors also told me that what I needed to do was to check regularly the conditions of my liver. Every 6 months, I had to go to some tests to check on the liver. So I did that in 2015, 16, 17. And I remember that in 2017, the doctor told me that there was no any sign of the virus of the hepatitis, but the amazing thing was that my liver was regenerating very well. And that gave me a lot of hope, made me so happy that I kind of felt like, oh man, the bad thing is over. I am now on the path of being well. And so I was feeling very relieved for that. And so in 2018, I kind of felt like I was completely healed. So in December, I went to do the test, like the test that I had to do for the liver. And what they found is that there was cancer in the liver, on the liver.
Wow.
So I started to do all the medical tests to see how bad this diagnosis was. And in 2 hospitals here in my city, in León is like a 5 hours drive north from Mexico City. In my city, I went to 2 hospitals to check on how bad it was. And the doctors told me that because of the 2 tumors in the liver and the tumoral thrombosis that I had on the arteria, that there was nothing to do. And they gave me like less than 12 months of life expectancy. And so the recommendations of the doctors in here in León was that if I could find some solution, if there was any, that I had to do either to Monterrey or Mexico City, because that is like the 2 main cities in the country. So I decided to go to Mexico City, to this hospital that you already said, the hospital of what is called the Nutritional Hospital in Mexico City. And so what the doctors told me there is that the same thing that the doctors told me in León. There was nothing to do, see? And the only thing that they recommended for me to do was to take chemotherapy. Just as you said, Lilian, not as a cure, but only as a palliative. So I had to find some other alternatives. And one of those alternatives is that I took a trip out of Mexico, but because since the doctors here in Mexico told me that there was nothing to do for me, I decided to go to Italy. And this is kind of like where everything started for me, because I have a sister who lives in Italy she's been there for 10 years now. And her father-in-law, he is being cancer-free for the last 8 years. They diagnosed him, they found him a very big tumor in his stomach. So it has to be operated, and he had to take chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And so after the doctors in Italy helped him to eliminate the cancer cells, he found some oncologists in the city of Rome who told him, they told him that if the name of the father, my sister's father-in-law is Peppino. So they told Peppino that this oncologist told him, if you trust in me, we're going to help you to not to appear, helping so the cancer cell would not ever appear again in your body. So they gave him, I'm seeing this picture of all the pills that they asked him to take. It was what it's called phytopharmacals. These are pills made of plants and roots to help them to help him to
regenerate his body.
It was for his immune system to strengthen his immune system, but also to help his internal cells to prevent and not to let his body to reproduce cancer cells again.
So they're a nutraceutical. You call them phytoceuticals?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're from the plant. That's why phyto. But yeah, they're nutraceuticals, so they're made from pure plant sources. So
yeah.
Wow. So the picture that you sent us, is this the picture of
all the pills that I had to take?
So these are all the pills. Is this for one day then? All these
1 week. 1 week. No, if it was for one day, I would be dead by now.
I was gonna say that's crazy. Yeah. So wow, still
1 week.
Of pills.
But 1 week is still a lot. I had to take pills in the morning, evening, afternoon, night. All day I had to be taking care of the doses of pills that I had to take. And this doesn't count the chemotherapy that I was also taking, and also the injections that I was taking. If you put the other picture, you can see where I am, how I was kind of looking when I was taking the chemotherapy. Hopefully, by then the only side effect that I had was the effects of the chemotherapy. For some reason, I remember that doing my prayers and my meditation, I was asking to God all the time that please not let me to start feeling the side effects, because I said that at the time, if I started to feel some secondary effects of the diagnosis that they gave me, I was not going to be able to find the cure I was looking for. I was definitely very concerned about that. I was going to find my miracle, just as I called it, my miracle. I had to find it, but I knew that if I started to feel these symptoms, it was going to be very hard, and I think that I was not going to be able to find the solution. So I think it was the first gift that I received from the divinity was that all this period of time I had no side effects.
So when you went to the doctor the very first time, due to the blood that you found when you went to the bathroom, you didn't have pain at all with all these things going on?
No. Incredible.
It is incredible, because just a thrombocytopenia should have been very painful, let alone the hepatitis C can be painful.
I've read a lot
of the liver. You think you would have sharp pains on your liver, and the tumors, you had more than one tumor. You had multiple tumors, but you didn't have any discomfort. You didn't have any pain. You were completely asymptomatic.
Yeah, that's something I have to be very thankful to God for that, because I had the possibility to not just to transit all that, but to learn a lot, so I can now share it, because I have had the chance to talk with a lot of ill people who has all the symptoms, and I think for some reason I didn't have the side effects, but I understood perfectly what to have a terminal diagnosis means, because it doesn't matter that I wasn't feeling anything. The doctors kept telling me that my life expectancy was the last diagnosis that I had. That you have the pictures there. I don't know if you have.
Yeah,
If you
yeah, they're on the screen right now. We're doing a screen share. So
it says that my life expectancy was for August 2019. So it's the other one. It's the other one. If you can read there, it says
yeah,
life. It's in yellow. Life expectancy greater than 6 months.
yeah,
And
it says 6
doctors
months.
gave me that on February. So I know how it feels that a doctor tells you and insists in saying to you that you're because of your cancer, there's nothing for you to do. And I understand that, so I think I can be very empathic with people that has the cancer, and it doesn't matter if you're feeling asymptomatic or you're feeling the symptoms. I think that the process that some people has to go through in order to learn something, to find the way to put your intentions in your illness into divinity or high intelligence to help you to get cured. They have to do the same thing that I did. Even though they have the symptoms, or if they don't have them, they have to do the same process. That's what I believe. That's what I'm telling people.
So Eduardo, I'm noticing something very, I think, extraordinary, because here you're feeling fine. You're asymptomatic. The only thing is that your eyes are seeing the evidence of blood when you went to the bathroom, which propelled you, rightfully so, to go to the doctor. Thank goodness you didn't ignore that. You went to the doctor, and then the doctor now gives you this explosive report of not one, not two, but you have half a dozen things that are going wrong: cirrhosis of the liver, thrombocytopenia, low blood platelets, hepatitis C, and the tumors. So that's a lot, and you're not feeling anything. So that's invisible. You don't have symptoms other than the blood, but you have to believe the gravity of your condition, even though you don't feel anything. On the flip side, you have, when you started doing, you're taking, your control back, so that you're like, okay, I may not feel any of the negative pain or any of those things that normally would come along with this, but I have to believe that, yes, that something is seriously going wrong with your body. That same thing has to be applied in your belief, that even though you don't see anything, you have to believe, blindsided, that you are going to get yourself healthy. So it's like a double blind. It's almost like a yin yang I'm seeing here as you're telling this story. It's like you have this, like you're pain blind, but you weren't belief blind. On both ends, you weren't belief blind. You knew that there would be a way that you could obtain a miracle that would put you in good health. So, wow, this is fascinating. So go on with your story. What happened next?
Thank you, Lilian. I returned from Italy to Mexico after a couple of months of being there, and what I realized is that what I learned from being in Italy is that I had to change my my food diet, because they told me that I had not only to take the phytopharmaceuticals, but I had to change my diet. It had to be very organic, not meat at all. And so I learned that when I was in Italy. And then when I came back, I realized that it was going to be very hard for me to keep that diet in Mexico, because here we don't have the culture of eating organic or having organic food. And in Europe, in Italy, it's like you go to any store and you can find a lot of 30%
Everything.
or maybe 40% of the things that they were selling is organic. Here in Mexico, we didn't have this culture yet. So I
So,
said,
so
yeah,
can I just want to interrupt you. Could you share with us, what did you eat before? Give us examples of your daily meals before, and then what those
here,
meals were like.
here in Mexico,
So yeah, so what did you eat? Because you're saying you had to
well,
change your diet. So exactly
it-
what you're eating. Give us an idea what you had for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner,
but
what the snacks were.
there
What
is a lot of, as you know, in here in Mexico, we eat a lot of hot food, hot meals. We like a lot of the spicy food, and we eat with a lot of fat and carbohydrates and sugar. We need to eat a lot of tortilla and eggs and rice. And so what we, it's not a very healthy way of eating the Mexican food. But since when you are healthy, it's not like it's going to cause you a big trouble in the short time, probably in the long time. But since I had this diagnosis, for me, each one of those things was like a venom on my body. So, but even that, when I came back, I was thinking that it was going to be very hard for me to keep this strict diet. And I was thinking that I found, it's an expression, but I think that I thought that I found like the 20% of the miracle that I was looking for. And I still had to keep trying to find the 80% that I was yet had to look for. So
does matter to matter still?
yeah, yeah, of course. And
Now,
so
now we know, now that you've had Dr. Joe's teachings, now because doing the organic diet, it helped. But like you said, it's only 20%. So you were correcting your health matter to matter.
yeah, and I didn't know any of that by then, but now I know.
Now
Uh,
we
but when I came back, I realized I had the opportunity to start reading when I was in Italy, to start reading and watching videos of Dr. Joe. And I also read another book that helped me a lot of this doctor called, this doctor's name is Carl Simonton. His book is The Healing Journey. And this book is from an oncologist that he wrote this book for people with terminal cancer diagnosis. And this book invites people to live a process, a changing life process that concerns not only physical, but also mental and spiritual changes. And for me, that resonated in my ears very strong, because that was exactly what I was looking for. See, and some other thing that the book said was that, well, if you have this cancer diagnosis for a person, it's a very um, compelling reason to learn and to change. And so I knew that I had no time to waste, but I also had to find very fast what I was looking for to start applying it on my life. And the book started to give me a lot of lights of what to do. And one of the things that I like the most from this book, I recommend it to all the people that has this diagnosis, not terminal, but if they have this a cancer diagnosis, to read this book, because it's really a very helpful tool. It also says that the most important message behind cancer is that it is a message of love. And for me, it was like it was like an impossible thing to read for a person that has cancer. How it can be possible that somebody says that you having the cancer, the message that this cancer is trying to teach you is, and the message that it's trying to send you is a love message. And for some reason, I was ready to start to put myself in and start to connect all myself into that frequency, into that stage of love. So then I, of course, I kept reading Dr. Joe's books. And I remember one time that it was May, I returned from Italy in the month of April. So I left to Italy at the beginning of February. Then in April, I was back home in Mexico. So it was May. I was watching Dr. Joe's videos. And then I remember that I saw this video. He was being interviewed in London. And then he said in this video that all the people that go to his workshops, they are witnessing miracles of biblical proportions.
Yeah, biblical proportion is
Yeah,
we've seen
it. When I heard that, I said, I have to go. I don't know what I have to do, but I have to go there. I have to be in one of his seminars because it was May, and I remember that the last diagnosis said that my time left was in August. So I said, I know that if I go there, I'm going to find the 80% left that I am looking for to know how to heal myself, how to be cured. See, so I went there, and it was a miracle itself for me to find the way to be there, because it was May, probably the second week of the month. And when I entered to do the applications to attend to this seminar, of course it was going to say, I didn't know that he has all his seminars sold out months before they started. So when I went to try to find if there was some seminar close in the border of Mexico City. I said, if I can find a seminar in California or Arizona or Texas or Florida, I can be there.
Any event that you could get to.
The first miracle for me was that I saw that it was going to be one in Mexico next month in June. I said, wow, it's fantastic. So when I see if I could attend, I tried to do my application, and it says that it was already sold out. It has 2 months that it had been sold out. And they also told me, if you want to register yourself, and if there is a cancellation, we can tell you that because of that cancellation, you can come in. And I said, no, it's not going to happen, because I've seen that in Spain it's sold out, in Germany it's sold out, in Berlin it's sold out. There was not going to be any cancellation. So what I did, I decided to send an email directly to Dr. Joe Dispenza. In this email, where they are receiving the registrations for the seminar, I didn't even know if he was going to receive it, but I put on the email, Dear Dr. Joe Dispenza, you don't know me, but for me, it's imperative to be next month in your seminar, because then I explained my situation. And so the next day, I received an answer, and it said that
next day.
Yeah, and it said that Dr. Joe had written the message, and he was going to do an exception for me. He has never done an exception before, but he was going to do an exception for me. But I remember that on my email, I also put that I had no money to attend, so I was asking for a scholarship, and the answer is that Dr. Joe said that yes, it's okay, and we're expecting you, but unfortunately we cannot give you a scholarship because all the scholarships have already been given. So if you want to attend, you have to pay the whole fee, and we need you to let us know as soon as possible that you're coming. And so I said, I right there, I answered, of course I'm going to be there. And then I had to think how I was going to do to get the money to be there. So I spent that day, the whole night, sending emails and WhatsApps to relatives and friends that they know that they knew about my situation, but that I also know that they could if I asked them for help, that they could help, they were going to help me. And after 30, I think like it was like after 36 hours, I had also all solved. Some friends were going to help me to pay the plane and the seminar and the food and the hotel and everything. So I was blessed for that.
Wow.
Lina, I remember I didn't stay at the hotel. I had to drive 1 hour every day to get to the hotel because I was staying at the hometown in Cancun. You didn't know that because you were.
No, I don't know how you did that because we were there,
We had to
6
be
in
to
the,
start the
yeah,
session
6 in
at
the
six
morning.
o'clock and sometimes at 4 o'clock. So I had to drive 1 hour to be there, and
Like,
I
and
just
that's incredible because I mean, I stayed at the hotel and it was, it was like 12 to 14 and a half hours a day, which didn't leave us much time to go have dinner. If you were
yeah
staying at the hotel, it was easier because then, after you're done with the main, event in the monastery, then you go into your team meetings, which is another hour. And then we go to dinner. Now it's like 9 o'clock at night.
yeah
And, so that takes you to like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night. And so like for the nights that we had to be there at 3:30 in the morning, because they closed the doors at 4 a.m. because that's when the meditation started, that only left you like 3 hours if you were lucky to sleep.
yeah,
So
and
I don't know how you did it. Oh my gosh.
that was enough for me because I was exploding in my heart. I couldn't believe that. I understood after that uh, what the whole seminar meant for me because I remember myself driving every morning, even the dawn it was, driving to the hotel, sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning to be at the hotel. And the whole hour driving, I was crying. And I couldn't understand why I was so happy just by driving to the hotel. And then I realized that I was being taught what faith means because I remember like here in Mexico there is this tradition that I think that it also is a tradition in the United States that in December you write a letter to the what do you call them, to the kings, magician kings, the kings that went to visit Jesus
Oh,
was born. And
three wise kings.
it's
Yeah.
a tradition
Epiphany.
here. Yeah, it's a tradition here in Mexico that
Oh,
you're a kid, you write a letter to these magician kings to ask them for gifts. And you just don't know, since you're a kid, you just don't know how these kings, these magicians, how they do that they have to take or deliver gifts to all the children in the world. And but for some reason in your gut, in yourself, in your heart, you know that the day that you are supposed to go to this Christmas tree to see if if your gifts are there, you're gonna find exactly the three gifts that you asked for. And that's,
oh, so you can ask for three gifts.
yeah, you can ask for three gifts. And I just felt like that when I was driving to the hotel and at the seminar to be at the seminar with Dr. Joe, because I knew that I was writing every night. I was driving my car to go to the seminar. I was going to go to be there to write my letter of the gifts that I wanted to receive, just like if I was a kid, because I was going to send this intention to the same divinity that these children believed when they wrote their letter to receive their gifts. So
Wow.
that was for me. That's what faith means. That's the intention that Dr. Joe talks about when he says, if you want to change your life, you have to have a clear intention. That's faith for me.
Yeah. And it's a faith that it's a knowingness, a belief where it's absolute. And
Yeah,
we,
there's
one of the
no
things, yeah,
there's
there's
no
no
doubt.
doubt.
Yeah, and that's why I was so happy. The people that I have contact with after this seminar, it's been more than a year now, and they told me that they couldn't understand why I was so happy since I had this diagnosis, and I was like exploding of joy and happiness and gratitude, because I already knew that for me being there, I was going to learn what I had to do in order not to heal, not only to heal myself, but to change my life.
Wow. And you actually were able to, through that belief and through that self-love, you were able to manifest the miracle where
Yeah.
you were able to go to an event that was sold out, and then you were able to even provision it by knowing that it would be provided. You were able to get the hotel, the airfare, everything that was required for you to show up to the event. So now you're in this gratitude and appreciation, which we learned while in the monastery, is that gratitude and appreciation are the ultimate states of receivership. And Dr. Joe then shows us not just from the mystical and esoteric teachings, but he gives us the hard science to show us that when we are in a state of gratitude and appreciation, which is the ultimate state of receivership, how our body creates endorphins, and how our autonomic nervous system upregulates genes to suppress DNA that has been turned on that should be turned off, and vice versa. So the expression of whatever is not good in your body starts to get balanced. And then, he takes it up a notch from there. But you were already in that place of accepting, receiving, and embracing all of that, knowing that what you had asked for had been given. And now you just had to be present every day and just follow his guidance.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And for some reason, I just didn't know that in my heart, I already knew this. So when I was at the seminar, I was exploding because there was this Dr. Joe explaining it to me in detail, what it was, all that I was, transformation that it was happening inside of me. And he was giving me also the tools. So I was going to have a method to work with, so I could be not only working on that for healing, but for changing a lot of things of my life, and also for creating a new future. And that's the fantastic thing that I found when I was with Dr. Joe.
Wow. So tell me, were you one of we were all blessed that we were all able to be healers, which I thought was a profound experience in Cancun. And I was blessed to have you as one of my golden eagles. You were part of my group of 60 golden eagles.
Yes,
We got
yes.
to know each other, and we faced all those challenges that I don't know if you knew, but I didn't know before I went. It's probably good that I didn't know, because I didn't know they were going to have us walk that 50-foot plank. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that may have curbed me from going. So I was ignorant that there was a challenge course. I had no idea.
Was it your first time also at the
Yeah, when I went to the monastery in June of 2019, that was my very first time.
okay.
And so I thought it was all in the monastery. I had no idea that there was a challenge course. Somehow
Okay.
the divine maybe knew that maybe I might chicken out if I knew about those things, because I had a fear of heights. And
Okay.
and that was actually one of I've used the feeling that you have over and over again since then. So it was so perfect that I had to go through that. But yeah, so that was my first time in June. So that's where I met you, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize the gravity of how severe your medical condition was until after we left. And then we, as you know, I was the one who formed Jace had me form the WhatsApp group for the Golden Eagles, and then I started realizing, oh my gosh, your diagnosis was it was a lethal diagnosis. So I wanted to find out from you. So what was your first, either aha or mystical experience, or notion that maybe did you feel any energy moving? Because some people do feel energy moving in their bodies and are healed, and others feel nothing, and then all of a sudden they realize. It happens different for everybody. So what was it like for you?
Well, I think I'm very blessed for that because I feel this almost every day. That was the reason why I was crying every day that I was driving to the hotel, because I was having very profound experiences every day. And but what I can tell you is that one of the things that really touched me very deep, uh, and besides what I was having in the in the experiencing with the meditations, was the time. Do you remember FG Mueller, the girl who gave her testimony from Holland, and she had cancer also, and her diagnosis was 3 months left. Her
Yeah.
testimony is on YouTube, and it was Thursday, and I remember that when she walked up the stage and she started to say what her experience was, and that she had no experience ever before of meditating or any kind of work like this. And but she said that the doctors told her that there was nothing left for her to do, and she decided to go to Dr. Joe's seminar, because she received a book of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and she read it, and she decided she had no other option left for her, because she was uh, there was no medical solution for her, and she said, I have no other thing to do. This is my only chance. So she decided to go, being skeptic, not having any experience of this kind of work before. And even before she has the healing meditation on her, her testimony is that she was standing up in front of the 8 people, and then she had her mystical experience, her spiritual experience was that in herself she had the certainty that she was cured. And then she said to the guys, I don't know, but I know that I'm cured now. I know that because I have her phone number now, and we have talked several times, because for
Oh,
me, knowing her was a tremendous experience, because when she was giving her experience, I couldn't stop crying, because I knew that it was like she was there standing, speaking to me, not to anyone else. And, and then she said, I know that I am cured already. And then she said that the other 8 guys were looking at each other like, but we haven't done anything yet. And she says, I don't know how to explain, but what I know is that I am cured already. And then she received the healing, and she went to Holland. And after a month, she did the tests, and the cancer was completely gone. And I knew that that was the experience that I was going to receive. So in Sunday, I received the coin to be a Healy. So in Sunday, when I walked to, and I laid down to receive the healing, I'm going to tell you my experience. I just saw a very bright light coming from above to hit my heart and my head so strong, and this light just surrounded me all over, and I started to shake. All my body started to shake. I started to feel like convulsions, and I started speaking languages also.
oh,
And
you did.
yeah, I was just so filled with this loving source. I couldn't stop crying, and in my conscious I just kind of knew, it's not that I heard specifically some words, but I knew that this divinity was telling me that everything in my life was going to be okay, but now I had to teach all the things that I've learned. And this is what I've been doing since, Lilian. I've been um, telling people my experience, and now I've been teaching what I've learned to other people.
Wow. So now it makes a lot of sense to hear you say, now having heard you said this, it makes sense to hear you say that cancer was a gift of love to you,
Yeah,
because it put you in a place where you were really in touch with your heart. Your heart was opened. Because your heart was opened, you were connected to the divine. The divine and you were now in this love affair where the divine had always been there, but now you were completely focused on the divine, and the divine was just holding you, and you didn't resist. You surrendered, you let go, you believed that the divine, we know that the divine doesn't lie. The love, love is truth. And
yeah,
you didn't question it, you didn't doubt it, you just knew that you knew. You accepted, you received it, you embraced it, you took it in. And then you were in this, I'm going to call it a bubble, because as you know, when not only when we were there, but that's luckily that's something we take away with us, that once you're plugged in, you're in. But it is an extraordinary feel. You could feel the love in the air. And I have to say, I come from a fairly religious family where there's a lot of clergy in my family, and so I've always been raised in a church setting, and I can honestly say I have never felt a group of 1,000 people be so loving. All I didn't know a single person when I got there. There are a
yeah.
thousand people, so there were literally 1,000 strangers,
You kind of feel like you want to kiss everybody.
and it was hearts were wide open.
Yeah,
Everybody, and the thing is, like, everybody genuinely would approach me, and I would genuinely have this, just like this brotherly and sisterly love. Tall, short, dark, didn't matter. It was just, I thought, this is how synagogues, churches, places of worship, this is how it's supposed to be. It was just such a pure space of energy that you could feel the energy in the air. And there was this, I want to call it like a magnetic, I don't know if you would call it the same thing, but it was like this magnetic love joy that just seemed to pull you up. And it pulled you up and opened you up kind of at the same time. And
yeah,
it was, it's undescribable. And the thing is, I remember being a little concerned the last day. I thought, oh my gosh, the vibe here is so extraordinary. The love, by the end of the week, of course, 1,000 people. I probably don't know exactly 1,000 people, but I did get to meet hundreds of people who I'm still in contact with, like yourself, and connected with many that I didn't connect with them there, but post the event we've connected. And the thing is, that energy, once you're tuned into it, it continues. I
yeah,
don't know. I'm sure there's probably a way of undoing it if somebody, because your free will is your free will, but it's not like other things that you go to. This is much different. You're still plugged into that energy. There's almost like a heightened sense of awareness, or a greater sense of, would you say that it's like a greater sense of openness? Or it's kind of hard to describe in words, wouldn't you say?
yeah. I definitely, I am, I also agree with you with this thing that this finally is energy. But if we translate this energy into an emotion, I think that what we had the opportunity to see is exactly what I think that the real and true love can make to each and every one of us. Because when we were sensing this authentic love, the 1,000 people who were there, the only thing that we want to do is to be in contact with the other people and to share what we're feeling. And
Yeah.
this is an extraordinary thing to experience, because I think that is one of the things that most amaze all the people that go to these events, because you cannot describe exactly what it produces into each one, in what it is to feel that 1,000 people are generating and meditating to generate these elevated emotions of joy, of love, of gratitude. And
Mhm.
what it feels and what it changes in every people inside is something undescribable. You have to be there because to understand what it is, you have to live it. And what I also think is that now, since you have experienced that, you don't have to be with 1,000 people to be in contact with this energy, with this love experience. Again, you can experience it in your room alone,
Yes, that's what's
because
so exciting.
what you have learned is that the only thing you have to do is to open your heart, to be in contact with this, again, with this energy. The only thing that you need to do is to open your heart. And if you do it and you're genuine and you're authentic, you're going to be in contact with, again, with this divinity, with this energy of love.
Yeah, and I think that's the most exciting thing. It's because we are not dependent upon being at Dr. Joe's monastery or at his gatherings, at any of his events. It's not like that's the only time you're going to have that. No,
Exactly,
the
absolutely.
takeaway is that we are empowered. We have this incredible energy vortex all around us. We are all thousand of, it's more than 1,000 of us, but we're all, it's like it's like the 1,000 of us, no question, we're connected, but we're also connected because there's no time, space, dimension, or reality that's excluded. Anyone who has done this type of work, Dr. Joe's, I think there's like, more than 16,000 or 17,000 just in the leaving the monastery Facebook
Oh,
group.
really? Wow.
Yeah, just for the people who have been to the monastery to his live events, who are advanced students. But separate from that, there's many other Dr. Joe meditators who have studied either just online, who haven't been to a live event,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and that's who knows how many hundreds of thousands of people. And then there's the greater collective of meditators and people who really are open-hearted in a place of joy. So we're all tapped in. We know how to be in that space and stay in that space, so that you do have an elevated emotion of love, because your heart is open and you're embracing love and you're sharing love, you're open-hearted, and you are genuinely, and it's until you feel that genuine love and that genuine gratitude and appreciation, it just somehow seems to open up your heart. Like you said, it explodes your heart even
Yeah.
more. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's a kind of a euphoric feeling that's kind of like you've never felt anything like that before. And I remember thinking, like, prior to going to Dr. Joe's event back in 2013, I made my decision to open my heart. I didn't know how to do it, but I
Uh-huh.
said, okay, I know that I'm supposed to do this. I don't know how to do it. And then I just kept on meditating, asking, my angels, God, to show me how to open my heart. And so it was a slow and gradual process.
Yeah.
And at Dr. Joe's, I was really able to, I don't know if concretize is an actual word, but to make concrete the distinction between our true self, that loving part that is always connected to God, that never is disconnected, which is our soul, and separating that distinction from our ego, our brain, and then the feelings and emotions that are lodged into our body, which sometimes bubble up into the brain and into the ego, and then fight with our true self and lie to us and tell us things like, oh, you're not doing it right. You're not doing the breath right. You're not sitting up straight enough in the meditation. Everybody else is getting this, but not you. Oh, you're not doing it good enough. You're going to have to meditate for years before you get this right. That open heart thing, other people can open their hearts easily and naturally, but that's the freaking ego.
Yeah.
and and it became so crystal clear. It's like, oh, like that was my first big aha. The first 24 hours, it's like, oh, so my awareness, seeing that, it's like it
It's
was
it's
so,
myself not letting me do my job.
yes, it was keeping,
Dashing me.
it was fighting me all this time. And I'm like, oh, that's what helped me. We were part of the lucky group that,
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget the second day when he said, oh, we're going to be doing a challenge course, blah, blah, blah. I said, challenge course? What is he talking about? And he started describing, starting to prep us for the challenge course. I'm like, wait a minute. Nobody said, I don't remember seeing, hearing, reading anything about a challenge course. And of course, they don't tell you what the challenge course is going to be. You just know
Yeah.
it's a challenge course. So I have no idea what it could possibly be. And then he says, the Golden Eagles are going to be the first group that are going to go up starting tomorrow. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go again. So it's like I don't even have the benefit of conferring with another group to see what the challenge
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah,
see what
yeah.
I could expect.
Yeah, tell me,
What
so I know if I want to go or if I can. I'm
or
not.
can I chicken out or whatever to
Yeah,
prep for it? And it's again wanting to know. It's that fear of the unknown and wanting to control, which he talks about the entire thing. It's about letting go, surrendering, trusting that the universe has your back, which is so hard to do, especially if I'm a recovering a personality type. So it's like, okay, so wow. So now we have to do this challenge course. And then I was one of the first people that Jace picked, we went outside. It's like, I remember Katie Osler, she's, my blonde version from
yeah.
Connecticut. She's, same. I can see her eye to eye because she's 5'1" like I am. And it's like, so I didn't have the benefit of seeing people complete anything. So I was truly going on the blind, just looking at the obstacle course and going, oh my gosh, that's like really high up in the air. It's like, what are they going to have us do up there? And then it came to pass, of course. But that was the first real test because after we would had, I don't know, we had over 20. It was the third day that
You,
we did it.
you want me to say something, Lilian, that
Yeah.
just came up to my mind after you say this? This first challenge is like, so what it means for me to surrender is it that if I fall from being up there and I die, it's going to be okay to me because I have to trust. And I would answer yes, because that is my experience. That's exactly my experience, because I had to accept that if what the divinity had for me is that I was, because the possibility for me not to live, it was also the possibility for me to live. So I had to trust in the divinity. And one of his answers could be not to live. But if you trust, you just surrender and you accept whatever the answer is. And it is because you surrender that when you surrender, then you accept, and because your acceptation, then you start to feel this gratitude and loving emotions. Yeah. And the paradox is that when you start feeling those emotions, the miracle happens to your life.
Yes. Yeah. It's that letting go in certain, which is the most difficult thing.
It's the most difficult thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally have to agree with you so wholeheartedly in that. The irony, a lot of people are afraid of death. Like I personally am not afraid of death because I've always thought of death as in you go to sleep into this deep sleep and then your physical body just never wakes up. You just like drift away. That's always been my perception. I'm not afraid of death, but I have been afraid of pain, avoiding pain like you have no get out. So my only concern is what level of pain, if there's going to be pain in order to die, I'm afraid of the pain that I might have to endure in order to pass on. So I'm okay with dying because I figure it's a free state. I'm going to be in a better
there you have an intention to work with.
But exactly. So the whole pain thing. And then of course, in my case, I came to Dr. Joe's work because I had been hit. I don't know how I wasn't killed, but I was hit by an Orange County Transit Authority bus while I was riding my bike. Similar to Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe was hit by an SUV truck. I was hit by a bus and went flying off my bike. I had a traumatic brain injury, had a neck injury, back injury, ugly scar. And so, of course, I was suffering a lot of pain. I didn't die. So I was very grateful that I didn't die. I didn't crush any limbs. I could have crushed a limb. None of that happened. But for me, the whole pain, physical pain and emotional pain is pain, physical, emotional.
Yeah, probably
And
the
so,
emotional pain, sometimes it hurts worse.
yeah, sometimes, oh my gosh, yeah, sometimes it's unbearable. You feel like you're gonna, emotional pain sometimes feels like you want to die because it's so
Yeah,
bad, you just
yeah,
want it to
because
stop.
it's unbearable. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, you just want it to stop. And if you don't, it, one of the things that I've learned, and meditation really helps with this, because like you said, if you stop resisting the pain and just say, okay, exactly where is it in your body that you're feeling the pain, and you look at the pain and you realize that, okay, I see it, I acknowledge it, I'm not going to push against it anymore. You just let it be there. And now I've learned to ask, okay, why, what is it that you're trying to tell me? Because pain is not purposeless. Pain is always with purpose. Like your cancer, that caused, maybe your physical pain wasn't great, but the emotional, psychological, and spiritual pain, that's like, oh my gosh, that's like off the chart. So, okay, you sit there with that and you go, now, okay, I see you, I hear you. What is it that you're trying to tell me? Because it's just like having a baby. It's trying to give birth. That pain is giving birth to something that you need to know that for whatever reason it's been a blind spot.
yeah,
And now the divine gets your attention with that pain, and you're like, okay, I'm tired of fighting. I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna surrender. If I'm gonna die doing this activity, then hey, it wasn't a bad run. It's like, yeah, I had some pain here at the end, but it's over, and you've let
but
go
we
at a
have to
much
remember
bigger.
that every time Dr. Joe says that every time we go to the divinity, Dr. Joe says that he has never let him down. So
It's true.
yeah, nobody's going to have an experience that is not going to help them in some way.
That is so. He says there's no such thing as a bad meditation. Every
Yeah,
meditation is a good meditation. And it's so funny because several months ago in meditation, I remember thinking to myself, and I was telling somebody, it's like, a lot of my meditations are just pure consciousness, where the way I languaged it, I catch myself now saying it, but it's true. That's how I was thinking about it and how I perceived it. The only benefit I had was feeling peace. Now think about that for a second. How many people are going to meditation trying to feel peace? And now I'm like, oh, the only benefit I'm receiving is feeling peace. So my perception was that it was a flat meditation because I didn't have a mystical experience. I didn't see colors, geometric patterns, any of the other stuff. It was just this profound, deep peace. Of course, I felt very connected, and it was peaceful and serene. So fast forward a few months later, and in a meditation that we were doing during the quarantine, you know how our group keeps on getting together all over the world doing these scheduled meditations to help people heal, not just from COVID, but from everything, right?
yeah,
And one of the revelations that I had was that during those meditations that I've been calling them, now it seems so like I was insulting, and I never meant an insult to the divine, but those meditations that I was saying that they were flat, and the only benefit I got was peace, which is still a benefit, but I was, in my ignorance, I was diminishing the value. Oh, there it is again. The value of those meditations. And
yeah,
what they revealed to me, it's like during those flat meditations, those meditations where you thought, you're thinking, your left brain is thinking the only benefit is you're feeling the body. Peace is like, oh, by the way, we've been downloading light codes into you. We've been activating light codes, not only during your meditations, but also while you're sleeping. We've been downloading dimensional overlays, which I was like, dimensional overlays? I've never even heard of that terminal. What the heck is it? Which, if you recall,
what I'm going to do with that?
I'm like, what is a dimensional overlay? What does it mean? I don't understand. I've never heard of that. I don't understand what the purpose, how am I supposed to
Who's going to give me the manual so I know what to do with that?
exactly. Give me the, the outline, give me,
Yeah.
the Dr. Joe book that I can read on it. No, nothing. So those meditations where maybe I didn't even feel peace. It was just quiet. It's like, oh no, it's like, you don't get it, Lillian. You don't need to do anything. All you have to do is meet us here in meditation. We do it all. All we want you to do is to connect. All we have to do is open our heart, be willing to take the time to be in that space. And they do 99.9%.
Yeah.
We just have to make the time and do this.
You have to open your heart and then to trust.
And to trust. And then we tend to want to, there's always a little sliver in our life. Maybe it's finances, maybe it's personal relationships, maybe it's both and, maybe it's our workout. It doesn't matter. Our lives are so full of so many different aspects of us. The thing is, we are called to, in our entirety, our entire lives, just surrender and trust that, we're tuned in, we're tapped in, we're turned on to that divine energy. And you're walking, living proof that you can have a death sentence by multiple accounts, by multiple levels, by multiple conditions in your body. And just like that, it can be healed. You just have to have a faith of a child. You just have to know that you know that you know. People who are in pain, people who are in sickness in any way, shape, or form, all, I think for the most part, have a feeling there's got to be a better way. There's somehow, somewhere, someone, someplace, there's got to be a miracle out there for me. And yeah, except it's not out there, it's in your heart. You just have to shut up, quiet down, open your heart, connect to the divine. And if you don't know how, then ask the divine for guidance. And then I would start with Dr. Joe's books are so well written, so well explained, as well as all of his videos. You and I, neither of us, we don't get any money or any, other than the profound love, which is pretty awesome, that we get from sharing this with people, which is absolutely the purpose of this show. And it's the key that unlocks everything. Without everything leaves nothing out. And I think that this is the most, I think the highest calling that we can have. I don't care what your profession is to just be in that heart-centered space where we can completely show up open-hearted and tune in to ourselves so we can tune in to the divine.
Yes. I also, I know that it's just like what you said, that it's a call to share with others, because when you experience the results, the benefits of this work, then you get so much more than just this feeling of being in peace. You really change completely from the inside, and you just don't change in an emotional state. You literally change because your life turns to be a different life than it was, and it affects everything in your life. And then because since you feel like that, what you realize is that there comes a time that for you it's time to start to share it with other people, to send them the message, because there's a lot of people that right now is being in emotional pain or physical pain, and they don't know what to do or where to go or where to find the answers. And we're blessed that we have the tools now.
Yes. So tell me a little bit more about, I know that one of the graphics here that you sent us here, you talk, apparently you're sharing with more and more people every day. And you say here, to live is to change. And you're sharing not only your story, but also the practices that have brought you to this point, that I'm going to say don't keep you in this space, but that elevate you. Because that is, I think, one of the most spectacular things about this work is, like, it's very humbling, because we recognize at a greater level how much we don't know, which is very humbling. And you realize how much more infinite possibilities there are. And you also start to recognize, see, feel, to a certain degree, understand the different energies and how powerful they are and how they're all around us all the time. And sometimes we seek them out and we're elevated, and other times they pull us up. We're just showing up, and the next thing you know, you're pulled up, which is really unexpected, because I don't think anybody expects to be pulled up, but we are. I think, by definition, you were healed, so you were obviously pulled up. So your vibe is even higher now, which is why you are in radiant health. So are you primarily sharing this? I mean, thank goodness to the internet, we can go global. From a physical standpoint, are you able to share more one-on-one with people in person, or how is it that
Yeah.
you're sharing your
Yeah,
story and
thank
what
you.
you're
Thank you.
doing?
Yeah, I'm doing it in both ways. I'm doing this sharing it one by one. Some people call me and they ask me for help, that they want they want me to tell them my experience, and they want them to tell me and to explain them the tools that I've learned and how I changed my life so they can apply these tools for their own life. But I am also doing these workshops because there were some friends here in Mexico, entrepreneurs that helped me to understand how it was that I had to start sharing these learnings, because I didn't have a plan, and I didn't even know that at some point I was starting to doing this. Someday one friend of me says, he gets close to me and says, last year they knew that I had no income because I had to sell the business that I had last year. So I could travel and start to do what I had to do to find my miracle. And then this friend comes to me and says, I want to invite you to my company so you can tell them your experience, and I'm going to pay you for that because I know that I'm going to help you by doing that. And I said, well, thanks a lot. And so I went to this company with this friend, and then some other friend called me. And then after a couple of friends that I went to their companies, then I said, I think I can start doing this and to receive an income, also to share my experience. And some of these friends, then they come to me and they say, man, you have told us your experience already, but since you're still alive, we're sure that we can share with us more than just your experience. You can share us what you learned. So prepare something and teach us all what you've learned, because we want to know what you did and we want to start doing the same thing that you did. So I started to do that because my friends asked me to do that. And right now I am having the opportunity, and I'm grateful for that, to have a workshop. It's 8 months, 8 weeks, 2 hours every week, and I just explain them what I learned, and I teach them what I am doing with the meditation and with the tools that I learned. This picture that you have, the one that there is a statue of a virgin. With this picture, I was in Medjugorje. It's a virgin sanctuary in the country of Bosnia. When I was in Italy, I have a brother. He's a priest, and he invited me to go to be a week with him there. And it's fantastic how the grace acts, and how when a person has his heart open, it doesn't matter what the path is, but if you have your heart open, you're going to receive the gifts of being with the divinity. So when I was there, if you can see in this picture, I was completely alone. There was only one person on the left, but when I was there, by then I had read many books, a couple of books of Joe Dispenza, and I was thinking that I remember that I was meditating and praying, and I was saying to the Virgin that what I wanted to know is what was the next step for me. I didn't want to run, but I wanted to be certain that the step that I was taking was certain, was sure, because that was the month of March, and I knew that my time limit was August. So I was being heart open, and I was just kind of being in the present moment, trying to receive what the divinity wanted to show me. And the incredible thing, Lillian, was that what I received was this: for the divinity, there is not such thing that there is a hard miracle to do or an easy miracle to do.
It's just a
Because
miracle.
for the divinity, they're all the same. It's absolutely no way that there's going to be any obstacle, because it's pure love and absolute love. So I started to feel like there was a hard miracles. They were for God. There were hard miracles to do and easy miracles to do, it was kind of, how is that possible? And then I realized that an easy miracle to do was to heal a body. That was very easy for God to do, to heal a body, because for him to do that, he doesn't need you. He doesn't need anyone.
Yeah.
If you cut yourself, you don't have to do anything for that to be healed. It instantaneously happens that it gets healed.
Mhm.
So I was thinking like that, and then I said, well, since there is no you don't need us to heal our body, and that's a very easy miracle for you to do. What are the hard ones? And then I realized that the hard miracles for him to do was the miracles that has to do with our heart, because to heal from our hearts, he needs us, because he needs our will and our heart to be open, so our heart can be healed. These things that had to do with resentments, with guilt, with sorrow. So then after this, I remember I was crying like a kid, and then I said to God, I don't want you to heal my body. I want you to heal from my inside, from my heart, because I know that if you help me to heal, you help me to heal my heart, my body is going to be healed.
Wow.
That was my experience when I was there. So what I learned there, I learned about this other thing after the faith, that is how to accept this his grace, and to surrender of whatever he's going to send to you, because I knew that it was for me a truth with no doubt, that there has something in my heart who had to be healed, because the diagnosis of terminal cancer, even though I felt like I had no big resentments to somebody, that was a personal lie, because since I had this diagnosis, there was probably not consciously, but there was a lot of things that had to be healed in my heart. So I opened my heart and I said to him, you help me to heal everything that you know that there is in my heart that has to be healed. Forget about my body, but if you help me to heal all that, my body is going to be healed.
Wow, that's a huge takeaway.
Yeah,
That is monumental. And I love the fact that you languaged it saying that for the divine doesn't even need us
yeah,
to heal or to create anything. And all miracles for the most part are easy. There's only one miracle that is hard for the divine, and it's because the divine will not take away your free will. The greatest gift he gave you was your free will.
yeah,
So the only way that this is going to work is if you use your free will to allow the divine to come in.
yeah. That's the only thing we need to do. We
That's it. That's the only.
allow him to work with us. That's an incredible thing. That's incredible thing. We need to allow them, and we don't understand that. We haven't yet get to this awareness, because when we know that in our hearts, then everything turns out to be so very simple.
Wow. So in essence, we have to experience, it's starting to make more and more sense every day to me, and especially with your sharing your story, the reasons why we have to experience heartbreak. Our hearts have to be broken so that they're cracked wide open, so that then we are finally willing to let go and surrender and seek him first. You know, in the Old Testament, there's a scripture that says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be given to you as well. And lean not on your own understanding, but trust in him, and he'll make your path straight. And if we just get out of our own way and say, okay, I let go, I just, this is painful, I don't know what to do, and you just welcome in the divine, then the divine will go, okay, finally, this is what it took. It took this level of pain for you to finally come to me and allow me.
If you see it with Dr. Joe's teachings, he says exactly the same thing with another words, but he says the same thing.
Yeah, and it's like, because when we have that heartbreak, there's been part of us that we have fallen from grace. We've missed the mark.
Yeah.
And so we need to get back to pointing to true north.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is you have to have an open heart. You have to choose to have an open heart. Open your heart, allow yourself to feel. And in that week that we were there in Cancun, it's like it was a crying fest. I was bawling, crying every time I turned. I'm like, am I gonna ever? Some of them were tears of joy, some of them were exuberant, some of them it was pain being let go, and it's like, oh my, things would come up, and I was able to cry freely and easily. There was no judgment there, no criticism. Everyone was everybody kind of, we were all even though we were a collective, we were all in our own bubbles at the same time, where you're just in your zone. You're not really.
It was amazing to see 1,000 people being so joyful, all being together, experiencing the same thing.
Everybody was united. It's not like 80% or 90% of the was, and 10% they're like just going, does this really work? No, everybody was of united mind.
We all were feeling the same. Yeah,
we were all feeling the same, and I think that's why the love was so powerful there, and why we've taken it we're all 1,000 of us are still connected to this very day and time, and even with more of those who are on the same vibrational frequency. So it's funny, right before you said those last two things, I was going to ask you, what are your biggest three takeaways? And your comment about miracles, easy miracle versus a hard miracle, you basically answered that, and how having that open heart, that's the path, that's the doorway. It's always been inside us, and when we stop denying ourselves of that, and just and knowing that the divine only wants what's best for us, and will only give us wonderful, beneficial, loving gifts. It's not like he's there to punish or harm or create more pain, because it's not about that. There's grace. If anything, he wants to spare you pain.
There's nothing but that, only grace. Yeah.
There's only grace. There's only grace. Oh my gosh, Eduardo, do you have anything exciting that you want to share with your group?
I think I've shared a lot of exciting things.
Do you have any kind of a special program? Or, I think that's awesome that you're going to different companies and talking to groups, because every group of people that I know of, there's always people that need healing and on many different levels. So what's coming up? What do you have coming up that's new and exciting?
What's coming up is that this thing of sharing my experience and sharing what I learned, and because of the pandemic, I couldn't even think that at some point I was going to be doing this teaching in a virtual way. So now I have a petition from people from New York that they want me to give them a a workshop of what I learned, and it's fantastic because it is expanding. And for me, just like you said at the beginning, for me, I know that it is like a call to share this because I keep doing the work of meditating every day, probably more than 2 hours a day. And so for me, this experience is expanding. It's for me, it's like I am knowing that my inner experience is growing. My relationship with the divine is also growing. And so when I speak about this, it's like it's really it's coming out from within, from my inside. And I know that the people is receiving this message. And I also know, Lilian, that because of my experience, I in some way I am a placebo for other people.
Say that again.
I am in some way, because of my experience, I am a placebo for other people. Be-
Yes,
be-
absolutely. There's,
because some people have a very hard time to believe, and if they don't believe, they cannot do anything for their lives in order to change. And when I appear to them and I explain to them and I say to them why I live and what I learned, and I tell them that if I received a miracle for my life, they can also receive the same benefit of having miracles for their own lives. They all have to do is to have faith and accept, surrender, and believe, and and only open their hearts. That's the only thing they have to do, to open their hearts, and they can experience miracles for themselves. That's a fantastic thing for me to do.
I think that's absolutely beautiful. That's so stunning to say. And I do believe that you are a placebo for people. When they see you, they feel your love, your joy, your authenticity, how genuine you are. They see how vibrant and healthy you are, how you really have done the impossible. And you give them hope that they can do it too. And I think another takeaway for anyone who's going to be watching this anywhere in the world is, if you don't know how to get that belief, that could be the miracle that you ask the divine for. The divine can put in your heart the belief that you don't think you have. It can create the miracle of you unexplainably, just like you did, Eduardo. You just knew that you knew that you knew that you were going to be healed and that you were going to be fine. And that's an extraordinary amount of belief and knowing and faith that you had. And so I love the fact that you asked that the divine heal your heart first, before that. You didn't care about the body because you knew that if the heart was healed, that the whole body would be healed. And so maybe someone watching this right now, they just need to, it's like, you know what? Maybe you don't believe that anything else has worked for you. This is the only thing you've got left. Just ask for the gift of belief, that you would have such a profound sense of knowingness. You don't need to know how, you don't need to know where. Just be willing to say, okay, I want to open my heart, and all I want is the gift of this profound knowing and belief so that I can do all the other things.
Yeah.
And then you'll be off to the races. Because if that's your biggest challenge, which is when you don't have it, an impossible. It's like, the tallest mountain. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
I can't scale that tall mountain. There's like, are you kidding me? That's like Mount Everest. That's not going to happen. I'm not a
Yeah,
hiker.
yeah,
You know,
sure. Yeah,
I'm
that's
a
probably because you, so far up until now, you have been doing, trying to change your life, doing it only by your own will.
yeah.
With this information and with these teachings or with these learnings, uh, now it is probably the time to do it with your will, but inviting the divine will to work with you.
Eduardo, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your
Thanks.
gift, sharing all your experiences. I know that I've had a little corner in my life that I've had trouble letting go and surrendering there. And I really feel encouraged. I kind of feel like there was a release just doing this interview with you. So Thank you so much, my friend. I'm so
Thank you.
excited. We get to connect every day. Thanks to technology, we get to talk almost every day.
Yeah, please. And I'm very thankful that you invited me. Very open that please invite me again. I enjoyed so much. Thank you very
Yes, you're quite welcome. And for our listeners, I want you to know, Eduardo, he can language this and he can share this with you in English and in Spanish. You
Yeah.
live right now in Mexico City?
No, I live in a city called Leon. I told you it is like 5 hour drive north from Mexico City.
Okay.
Leon is a very beautiful city in Mexico.
Fantastic. So thank you for being on the show today. And as usual, we will sign off. I'm going to leave it with the last graphic here so that people have a way of contacting you. Your phone number, your email is here. We'll be sure to put it in the show description below. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in, turning on to Love and Money Secrets TV. And for now, as we always say, ciao for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Lilian. God bless you. Thank you. Ciao.
You too.